Sustainability in the construction industry. Our guest for today is leading a company that aims to promote eco-friendly construction through innovative materials and products. Ria Liza is the woman behind Polite Technology Incorporated.
The woman of today was a mere dream for a woman of yesterday. History has shown how difficult it is for a woman to cement her space in the realm of science. But today, we take the lead. We set the standards. We are in the front lines. We are women. We work to create a world where a woman can choose science as her journey, where technology is her uninterrupted road, and progress is her destination. We work to create a world where a woman in science is the norm, not the exception. A world where she is a constant educator, innovator, mentor, and leader. A world that is, and will continue to be, an inclusive and diverse global scientific community.
I am Dr. Ria Liza. I am an engineer scientist, and I am a woman in science.
Hello everyone, I am Ann Gabriel Longhoko and I will be with you for tonight as your co-host. I describe myself as the mediocre writer from National University, Manila. It is another night for us to learn and engage ourselves with how wonderful knowledge and wisdom can be when applied. The objective of this channel is to promote the feminine genius advocacy. One of the many goals is woman empowerment and gender equality through education and livelihood. One way to educate is by inviting guests of any gender who will impart their personal journey, challenges, and breakthroughs that will give invaluable learnings to viewers. By becoming a guest, he or she is tagged as the friend of the feminine genius. Tonight, we will have another co-host, Ms. Ella Wans, who is an IT specialist, research coordinator, an educator, a vlogger, a practitioner, and she also promotes the Team Helpful to help newbie YouTubers. Ms. Ella Wans is also an industry practitioner, researcher, and soon to be a doctor of information technology and financial advisor. And now let's welcome our host for tonight, Dr. Ria Liza C. Canlas, who is a civil engineer, materials engineer, and patent agent. Dr. Ria also promotes the feminine genius as a female making impact in male-dominated industries such as construction, manufacturing, and creatives. She was also featured in Designer and a Woman in Science. Dr. Ria is an industry practitioner, educator, researcher, innovator, inventor, technologist, scientist, entrepreneur, patent professional, and science communicator. Together, let's welcome Dr. Ria Liza and Ms. Ella Wans.
Good evening. Yeah, it was a very busy night, and so good evening, everyone, and welcome to my channel. Of course, my channel, Dr. Ria Liza, and of course, I'm always at your service. And this channel is meant to promote the feminine genius advocacy, and we are promoting the attributes of a feminine genius. That's why our membership packages are also the same as the attributes of the feminine genius. We have humility, kindness, patience, good character, industry, virtue, piety, and devotion. And as a feminine genius, I spread lessons by featuring people from my network of any gender to share their journeys, their challenges, and their breakthroughs. Because we believe that listening to other people's stories is called humility, and sharing is called generosity. we are somehow influenced by the lives of other people that we can apply in our own selves so that we become a better version of who we are. Remember, life is short. Let us live our lives to the fullest. Let us learn and be inspired by our very special guest. And of course, we are live via Facebook page, The Feminine Genius, the Facebook groups, the Feminine Genius Groups Philippines. And for our Feminine Genius brand development and direction, we'd like to thank Mr. Bon Labora da Agos Maharlika. And of course, coming very soon is the physical launching of our book, The Feminine Genius Myths, with my co-author, our co-host, Miss Anne. And of course, our guests will be featured in one chapter of our book. And Bon Labora is finally in the Philippines last week. So, abangan natin kung kailan yung magiging opening ng ating, launching ng ating book. Okay? So, hello, Ella.
Hi, Dr. Ria. Good evening. And to all of your viewers, hello. Good evening. I saw Ma'am Josephine Rose Pard. Ayan, shouting kanina, hello. That's my heart po siya. So, good evening po, Ma'am Josephine. Ayan. And to all of the viewers of Dr. Ria Liza.
JR,
Uh,
of course, our Dottie daughter.
yeah, si
The Dottie
JR.
daughter. Hello, JR.
Yeah, ang napakagandang guest mo dati. And ang early bird po natin 'no, si, Teresa. Hello, mega love shoutout po sa ating, newbie team, helpful member. And sa lahat ng viewers po ng ating host na who are watching right now via Facebook Live ng The Feminine Genius and The Feminine Genius Group Philippines. Ayan po. And of course, sa kaniyang YouTube channel, Dr. Yeriza. So, I hope that to those who are not yet member of our host, Dr. Yeliza, you may visit her channel and check out how to join by clicking on any of her video, and then at the bottom part of her video you will see join button there. Click on that and become a member of the Feminine Genius by our host. Then you can select what character that fits to your personality. So, ano ba naman yung 49 pesos? And you will now belong to this amazing membership of our host and very rewarding pa. So, as usual, Ma'am Ria, we will have a short game later and have fun with our guests. Excited na po tayo sa magiging discussions po ng ating guest po sa ating host po tonight. So, of course, it's a Pinoy Henyo game and we will ask the viewers to answer or guess 5 significant words that our guests keep on mentioning during the presentation. So GCash prizes will be given to those winners, and the amount is based on the number of viewers. So if you would like a higher pa-GCash po natin dito, so please invite your friends para the more the merrier to watch the live streaming every Saturday 9 p.m. Isa has been going live every Saturdays. And today is our episode 95, finally! Ayan. So, congratulations po, Dr. Yeliza. Ayan, naka 95 episode ka na. And, to those who are watching, sa mga newbie na pumapasok po sa channel po ng ating host, and sa mga hindi pa po nakapag-subscribe dyan, please don't forget to subscribe, Dr. Yeliza, by clicking on the subscribe button, and please also hit the notification bell para updated po kayo sa magiging mga vlogs po ng ating host, and paki-like and share po sa Facebook wall po natin para the more friends po na makaka-discover po kay Dr. Yelisa. So, syempre, idamay nyo na dyan si Ella once. So, nandyan po ang link ni ma'am, and all you have to do is click on it. And you may also, mas maganda rin, you may also search in the YouTube channel, Dr. Yeliza. Ayan. Lalabas po, wala pong ibang Dr. Yeliza. Nag-iisa lang po yan. So, by the way, sa mga negosyante po dyan na viewers po ng ating host, meron na po tayong website na theanythinggoes.shop. actually, ano na po yan, no? Ready na po yan to serve all of your products that you would like to sell. So if you would like to visit, please don't forget to register as a vendor. If you visit Anything Goes That shop and then log in your account, choose a product to sell. So our products will grow inside. So this is an exciting development for the Feminine Genius members. So what are you waiting for? Yan, syempre magpa-member na yan sila dyan. So sa mga hindi pa po naka-color green dyan, ang name, kapag nag-shoutout po sa comment section, kapag hindi po naka-color green, it means hindi pa po kayo member. So, huwag natin kalibutan na napakadaling magpa-member. I-click mo lang po yung join button and Google will ask further instructions for you to be able to pay using GCash or credit card. Ayan. So, again, please don't forget to invite some of your friends to visit right now para po mas masaya, no? Marami tayo mamaya na makikiisa po sa pakikinig, sa discussions po with our guest, and of course, sa Pinoy Henyo Game. Ayan. So, back to you, Ma'am Ria.
All right. So, it's a very busy day today. Na late tayo. Mutik tayo malate, no? So, I'm using my mobile phone right now. So, I hope that my audio is clear. Okay naman
Yeah.
ako, Ella, no?
You are
Alright.
clear.
Very clear. All right. So, before we introduce our guest, last week we've given a lot of tips for whoever wants to start their YouTube channels, diba? And nagbigay tayo kung ano yung mga kailangan nilang i-fulfill, how to monetize their channel. So, I do hope that you learned a lot. No, yung mga iba nagtatanong sa akin, sabi ko, you just have to watch our episode last week so that you would prepare yourself if you want to be YouTubers like us. And of course, we're looking forward also na matuloy na sana yung ating training for YouTubers on how they could maximize their earnings from being a vlogger or being a YouTuber. All right. So tonight, Ella, we have a very special guest. No? Sobrang aktibo nito in a very special, in a very what you call it, relevant topic na pinag-uusapan ng marami. Okay, so I think the time has come for us to introduce our special guest for tonight. This is Late Night with Dr. Ria Liza, featuring Up Close and Personal with the oil and gas nuclear energy hazard analyst. Meet Engineer Ronnie M. Dagal, CEO of O3GHSE OMG, or Oil and Gas Training Center. I hope I pronounce it well. It is the only oil and gas trainer in the Philippines, and I think Bihira Ivatan Training Center even in the whole of the Southeast Asia. A Mapua University graduate of Bachelor of Science in Mechanical Engineering of the batch 1980. This is an opportune time to discuss the truth, myths, deeper understanding about energy with a Filipino engineer expert with extensive years of experience in the oil and gas industry. And this is also the best time to know the best training courses about energy, science, and technology for engineers. Without further ado, let us welcome on stage Engineer Ronnie Dagal. Ay, sir, baliktad ang iyong camera.
Baliktad.
Hi, Engineer Ronnie.
Hello. Binaliktad ko
Yan,
kasi
lalagyan lang kita
nakabaliktad
sa center.
Good evening,
ha?
sir.
Ayan.
Good evening.
Hello, sir. How are you?
Fine. I'm fine. Thank you. And good evening to family.
All right. So
Genius.
at this juncture, we would like to give you the floor, Sir Ronnie, and our audience is very much excited to know about you. So, take the floor and discuss um, about yourself and your expertise.
Oh, thank you. Good evening. Good evening. Evening, feminine genius. Yes, my. Are you hearing me?
Yes, sir.
On my side, Ella, sa akin mahina. Sa'yo, Ella.
It's
Okay.
all right, ma'am.
It's alright. Okay, sige.
Oh,
Yeah.
lakas. Okay. Sige.
Siguro kung okay lang kung malakas ng konti, no?
Okay na ba? Start na ako.
Yes po. Malakas
My
naman.
name is Ronnie Dagal. I'm a Mapua graduate. Yes, as you introduced, that's correct. And I started my career in, well, so many, I started my career as a mechanical engineer in. No, wait, sorry. I started teaching in Mapua High School in Doroteo, Jose, during the time 1981. Recently graduate, and then after that, I joined NESCOR, Meralco Industrial Engineering Services Corporation. Still alive today, still working today. And then after that, my first year working in overseas is in Singapore with McDermott International, McDermott Southeast Asia combined, and we were doing all the platforms, the top sides, the jackets. We're installing them. We are fabricating them. Many people may be familiar with this McDermott, no? This is an EPCI, Engineering, Procurement, Construction, Installation of all the platforms, be it a super complex CPP, Central Processing Platform, and that's all the business there, no, in with McDermott. And then after that, I jumped from one company to another. From Singapore, I joined Petronas Charigali in Malaysia. By the way, I was the first safety representative, engineer officer in McDermott. The first also in Malaysia, Petronas Charigali. And then I went to India with Ezra Oil. And then I jumped to Libya. Libya is Occidental Petroleum. That's Swetina now. And then after Swetina, Oxy, I went back to Singapore. You see, it's a lot of job. Huh? And then I joined, after Libya, I joined United Arab Emirates for ADNOC. And this is my last stop. I worked 18 years in the United Arab Emirates for ADNOC. I work with ADCO, the onshore oil operation, Abu Dhabi company for onshore oil operations, and then ADMA, that is Abu Dhabi Marine, that is offshore. First was offshore, onshore, then offshore, and then I moved to LNG, ADNOC LNG. It was formerly, the name was Abu Dhabi Gas Liquefaction Plant. Okay, so after retiring that's 30 years, huh? That's 30 years. After retiring, I started my oil and gas training center in 2008, no? 2008. And then after retiring, Mapua became my partner in oil and gas training. And thank you for saying that. We are the only oil and gas training center in Southeast Asia. I used to be speaker for resource speaker for Mapua for Adamson University, Adamson Petroleum Engineering University, Mapua, PSME, Philippine Society of Mechanical Engineers, and many of my students garnered high post, and we'll talk about that later on maybe. Some of them are, still there and earning much. Okay, what else? I'm ready to answer any oil and gas and nuclear. In fact, by the way, I want to announce that I had a very healthy educational discussion forum with Congressman Mark Cohanco, and I had an interview with the sorry, I forgot that. That's an American association. Sorry about that. Okay, all educational, no, all educational. My educational forum is educational. Okay, in regards to oil and gas and nuclear energy, and this is very exciting because I'm inviting the engineers. This is the problem now, no? The engineers are not very well aware of the oil and gas and nuclear energy. And we talk about the sources. We can talk about this, yes. We can debunk them through engineering and science and engineering. We always refer to science and engineering whenever we talk of energy. Whenever we talk of process, it's all science and engineering, nothing more, nothing less. Okay, strictly, because we are all engineers. Okay, I think that's all. No, my introduction. Dr. Ria, Miss Ella.
Yeah. Oh wait, I'm just nag-feedback lang ako. Wait. Yeah, good evening, Sir Kat and Mitos. Of course, we've met. We've already have them as our guest. Ella, if you remember, tawag natin the green couple because they're both couples, husband and wife involved in green technology. I hope that my audio is clear now. But
Yes, ma'am.
yeah. I'm quite. I know a bit of oil and gas because my husband used to work at Slumberjay. Slumberjay, yes. And during those times in the past, no, very lucrative career in the oil and gas. Because as far as I remember, Ella and engineer, yung the shifting of those in the oil and gas are 3 weeks on, 3 weeks 3 weeks off, all paid. Tama, di ba? Ganun siya ka-lucrative, no? Engineer Ronnie, no? Kaya yung nung araw ang mga hari sila eh, no? But you know, but there was a time. I think, as far as I remember, please correct me if I'm wrong, Engineer Ronnie, dalawang series, itong lately na dalawang series wherein the oil and gas industry is on a downfall. Can you explain to us, no, what makes this oil and gas fluctuate at some point in time? Because way back, I remember it way back in 2010, when dollars are so high and there was a massive retrenchment of workforce in the oil and gas. Ano po ba yung naging issue? Bakit bumabaksak or ba't pa nagwe-wave siya po?
Okay, my turn. Kasi you know very well that there was this crisis around in 2010, but the crisis is in favorable of oil and gas. Last time that you were talking, that time the I think per barrel goes up to 150 US dollars per barrel. That crisis is favorable for oil and gas. Now, if you're asking right now, 2022, you also know very well that there is a decline of production because of the war in Ukraine and Russia. Inevitably, it's because of Russia is number one in the gas reserves in the world. You know, they have 1,800 trillion cubic feet. If they will not give gas, there will be a shortfall. But you see, when there is a shortfall in Russia, the OPEC, I hope you are familiar with OPEC. They will produce more. That's why as we speak, Qatar, Australia, and the one in Russia, it's not Kazakhstan, but Kazakhstan is also giving. What's the country capital is Ashgabat. You see, I remember the capital city, but the name of the country is giving also a lot of gas. They're also giving a lot of gas. The downfall is because of the climate change issue, the increase of carbon dioxide. This is the main problem of the environment now. See? So the Paris Agreement, early on it was Kyoto Protocol. Early on it was it was the 1992 Earth Summit. But now it's Paris Agreement. So their bottom line is to reduce the carbon emission. This is to limit the temperature to well below 2 degrees centigrade by 2100. Okay, and to as much as possible to limit it to 1.5 degrees centigrade increase. This is the average temperature increase by 2100. So because of this, okay, the oil and gas is not flourishing. This is what you are thinking. That this is what the effect of this of Paris Agreement. Okay, but you take a look very clearly what is happening, because we have the ambassadors like Greta Thunberg, okay, and we have the former U.S. Vice President. They are climate change advocates. Okay. You see, they are campaigning against the fossil fuels. But what are you claiming now? What are you driving? What energy are you looking for? It's still oil and gas. The solution is still oil and gas. There is no substitute for the energy, oil and gas. What is your substitute? Do you have something in mind? You will answer me nuclear. That's why our topic now is a choice. The choice between nuclear, clean energy, as you're saying, and oil and gas. So you are now choosing which one is more hazardous: the spent nuclear fuel or the effluents in the oil and gas. Because you see,
So Engineer Ronnie,
Go ahead.
so with the sources of energy, you're talking about oil and gas or nuclear or renewable energy. Okay. And then are there any other forms of sources of energy other than these three?
of course, yes. When you go say renewable, it depends on the country. Philippines, you have geothermal, you have hydro. Of course, we can have solar, we can have wind turbines. Okay, those are renewable. But if your country is located in the Ring of Fire, you will have a big problem, because Philippines is located exactly in the Ring of Fire. When you say Ring of Fire, 75% of the volcanoes are located and 90% of the earthquakes occurred and will occur in the Ring of Fire. That is why not one in ASEAN constructed nuclear power plant except the Philippines in 1976. Okay, so this is the answer. Now, 2022. What energy do you foresee? In the Philippines, it's LNG. After depletion of Malampaya, because Malampaya was discovered in 1989, it gives you initially 2,700 in 2002. It was discovered in 89. Construction EPC ran 12 years. It finished in 2001. It gives off gas from students. Take note of the dates. 2002 plus 29 years. 27 years. So that is 2029. We are now 2022. So the best. Well, you see, we have this. You heard of this rectobank. You heard of rectobank. I hope you heard of rectobank. My students know this rectobank. Rectobank is beside Sampaguita. This is around 200 nautical miles from Malampaya, and this could have placed us Philippines as number 2 bought. Listen, number 2 bought in the oil and gas. Okay, second to Indonesia, because Indonesia is the richest country in South ASEAN. We could have this. This is 55 trillion cubic feet. I'll give you I'll give you 20. If it is 20 TCF, your Malampaya is only 4. So what is the difference? It's times 4, times 5. Sorry, times 5. If Malampaya is giving you 27 years, then Sampaguita or Recto, 27 times 4, 108 years of energy sustainability. But because there is a problem, we don't want to talk anything here about this problem. But because this is the problem, there is a problem. Now you are confined to LNG. Now, because you're well, many businessmen were proactive, like I mentioned, the Lopez's and this forgot the other one. Mr. RSA, I have to say, because they constructed LNG tanks. The capacity I discussed before, it's 130,000 cubic meters. It's two. So 260,000 cubic meters. That you call that plant regasification. That's why it's very important for engineers to know this. Sorry if I make this. It makes my brain think more. If engineers know this LNG, then they have the opportunity to get employment. LNG is our next source of fuel to drive the 3,211 megawatt power plant located in Batangas. This is 3,211 now 2022, but in 2002 when it started, it's 2,711, which contributes early on it was 40%, now it's 45%. So this is the energy, but of course this is not the sole energy. It's only 43%, 45%. You still have the geothermal, you still have the hydro, you still have the oil in oil thermal power plant. Yes, but this, yes. Okay, go ahead for the next question. You can talk of the hazards or what
Yeah.
what advantages.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Engineer, I agree. Sweta, I agree with you that the oil and gas is such a very lucrative industry. In fact, in the startup space and in the startup space, no, the brick and mortar. When they say technology, all are focusing into AI, machine learning, Internet of Things, but actually the highest valuation that we have around the world still belongs to the brick and mortar, and that is the oil and gas industry. Okay, and kanina na-mention ni Sir that everybody has to be aware of the so-called ring of fire, no? The ring of fire actually dito po nag-exist yung mga earthquake, very very timely yung pagkasabi ng ring of fire because of the big earthquake that just happened a while ago. So according to Sir Ronnie, no, there are quite reasons why there are some sources of energy that fits to a country that belongs to the ring of fire. So, totoo ba ang Palawan is that do not have any earthquake, engineer? I think Palawan do not.
Narinig ko yan. Kaya
Yes.
tingnan mo yung location ng Philippines. Eksakto buong Pilipinas nakaupo sa ring of fire. Nakaupo ka sa ring of fire. It's not a question of sasabihin mo na mayroong fault line sa Bataan. Assume mo na wala. Wala naman eh. Ang problema mo is exactly yung buong Pilipinas nasa ring of fire. Ang Malaysia nga, wala sa ring of fire. Ayaw din nila. Ang Thailand, ayaw din nila. Eh kung sila ayaw, bakit ikaw gusto mo? Di ba? Kasi you're not talking only of carbon dioxide. If you are only talking of carbon dioxide, then I can tell you the hazards during the operations every day. I will give you 4. I can give you 8 of those airborne effluents or airborne effluents, liquid effluents. If you do not know this and then you are pro, then something is missing. If I ask you now, if you are pro, I will ask you, tell me some airborne effluents and liquid effluents. And not only that, I will ask you,
Sir Ronnie.
I will ask you how much years radioactive. If you cannot say, then you cannot be pro. Go ahead, doctor.
So, how much percent contribution in the carbon dioxide emission do we attribute to the oil and gas? Kasi I only know those in my field, example, cement, all cement production, cement related products that are used in construction contributes 8% to the total carbon dioxide emission in the whole world. So how about this concern on oil and gas, by the way, sir?
Okay, I'll tell you. I'll give you 2 examples. Number 1, if you want to talk about Philippines, you are only contributing 0.35% of the total CO2 per year. You get that percentage, 0.35. Now, if you are talking of the world, Philippines, you are not an oil and gas producer. So you are only contributing 0.35%. Okay? That's all. Now, if you are talking of world, the big problem is when you say the industrial country like America, China, Europe. Let's take the case of America. They are contributing 5 billion metric tons of CO2 every year. And if you know it's big, but you do not know the comparison. If you say 5 billion, you are civil engineer. Many are civil engineers. Tell me, what is the weight of Burj Khalifa? That is 500,000 tons. You divide it by 500, by 5 billion, it is equivalent to 11,111 Burj Khalifa CO2. And we are talking here of the United States only. We are not talking of China and Europe and others. Are you getting me? So this is a big problem. Because CO2 is the number 1 greenhouse gas that we are worried about. They say that by 2100, if the temperature rise goes up to 5 degrees centigrade, then look at your backyard. Where do you live? I will give you an example. You make an airport in Bulacan. Bulacan is 27 feet above sea level. If you are if the temperature rise will go up to 5 degrees, okay, Bulacan will be, by that time, will be 48 times 8, 40 minus 27, 30, 10 feet above, 10 feet below sea level. This is the worst problem that we are facing. Okay? That's why there is a Kyoto Protocol and there is a Paris Agreement or Paris Climate Accord. Paris Climate Accord. And the last one in Glasgow in the UK. This is the COP. You must be aware of this. And this is what we are teaching. I am teaching in our training center. To know the process. Because if you do not know the process, you are not an engineer. You are only a visitor. This is very important. If you do not know the process in Malampaya, if you do not know the process in Saudi Arabia, in the UAE, then you are not an engineer. You are just a visitor. And you can be a hazard. If you do not know the process, you do not know the hazard, you yourself is a hazard to the industry. You must know also this carbon dioxide emission. If you do not know this, then you are not aware. And if you are not aware, then you are not an environmental engineer. You are not an engineer. Because the engineer always thinks of the problem and its solution. That's why in the oil and gas, if you are an environment and you do not know the solution, we have the solution. LNG is a solution. Sulfur recovery is a solution. There's a lot of things to learn. There's a lot of things to learn when it's oil and gas, and also nuclear. Energy subjects are for engineers. If you are only pro,
Engineer Ronnie.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I believe. I know a lot of big oil and gas company are really very hardcore in terms of research and development. And these company are continuously seeking for solutions on the problems. And I'm happy to note that heavily also, aside from efficiency on operation, I saw some of the technologies that are developed by Schlumberger. But aside from that, you said that there are a lot of solutions to mitigate climate change when it comes to processes on the oil and gas, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir. And do you believe that there are still more research to be explored in terms of climate mitigation with respect to oil and gas?
My turn? Yes. You see, I'll tell you the story. In 1970, the environment office in America became very active. You know why? Because before, the associated gas were all burned in the atmosphere until they realized that the carbon dioxide is increasing, and then they established. Do you remember this Clean Air Act? The Clean Air Act in the 70s. Then after 2 years, you have the clean. Then they have this Environmental Protection Agency, and then they have the Clean Water Act, the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act, because they mitigate the exhaust, all the particulate matters, all the greenhouse gases. They realized that in the 70s, and the same is true in the Middle East. They were burning everything. They need only oil. They did not realize then that this gas can be recovered. And so the first country in the Middle East to recover this and to make it a valuable product is United Arab Emirates, where I work, and this is what I am teaching to my students, to the Filipinos. That's why they were earning much. They passed the interview, and fortunately, they're very lucky because they passed the interview very easily. Unlike during our times, there's no one to teach them. Now, what are the solutions? So many solutions. You may not know about the gas to gas exchange. These are if you are very interested in the environment, oil and gas is the answer. The dirtiest fuel is the answer for your knowledge, because you will know that there are mitigations like the sulfur recovery, like the flare handling emission reduction, the flare emission reduction. There are so many, and you will know this when you attend my course. And this is very interesting, and this is in pursuant with the Kyoto and Paris Agreement.
Yeah, Engineer Ronnie.
Go
So by the way, it's nice for you to mention that you are offering different lecture or training programs in your center, but we discussed that later. But so you
Yes.
are discussing as well the mitigation processes in your
Yes.
lectures.
Yes, this is very important. You see, you must be all around. When you are engineer, you must be all around. You know the process, you know the hazards, you know the issue on climate change and global warming. Because even the President of America last time, he was very confused. He was looking global warming during the time when it is winter. During winter, there is a polar vortex, and he doesn't know about this. He was chanting. He was naming names that climate change is a hoax. You see, first of all, that I can say that, no, because America is the one who is handling handling and monitoring the carbon emission in Hawaii, in Mauna Loa. Hawaii is America, and then the president itself is doubting the climate change. Okay. Well, you see, that's why, if you are an engineer, you have to advise every leader of your country. It doesn't matter what country. The leader of your country must be properly advised. Am I correct? Because the progress of the country is the progress of the people. You have to advise them the correct way. For example, he's not believing. Why are you not believing? This study of climate change started 800,000 years ago, up to the first industrial revolution, and traveled to the second industrial revolution, to the third industrial revolution. Now, it's AI. This is the fourth industrial revolution. And you are not knowing? This is strange, huh? This is strange. Now, if you are an engineer and you are not knowing, you're not an engineer. You're a visitor.
Okay,
You must know all the
Engineer
issues.
Ronnie,
Go ahead.
yeah, yes, I agree about climate change mitigation in so many ways. Example, I myself is doing climate change mitigation on the areas of construction, and so many other things, no. And speaking of that, let us read the question from Sir Kat at Longhari. How come the Philippines' nationally determined contributions is to reduce our carbon dioxide emissions by 70%? Can you answer that?
Yes, national NDC. The NDC is to reduce to 70%. There's no problem reducing. There's no problem reducing. Everyone is reducing. What is the problem there? What is the problem? That's correct. I say that your contribution is 0.35%. That 0.35% is compared to the global, computed as per global. Now, why you have to do this? Because everyone is doing this. Why you are doing this? Do you know the answer? The answer is because you are a signatory to the climate protocol, the Kyoto and the Paris Agreement. If you are a signatory there, you have to make a report every 5 years. So that is good. You remember, Philippines is one of the most affected, and now as we speak, you are one of the most vulnerable countries, including Germany and Japan. There's no problem with that. Go ahead. You're muted. No, we're not hearing. We're not hearing.
I
Sorry,
think nakamute ka,
Doktora.
Ma'am Ria.
Doctora, you're still mute.
I'm muted. I'm sorry. I'm muted.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. So I agree with you, engineer, because according to the World Intellectual Property Office, the underdeveloped and developing countries are the ones who are very much affected by the carbon footprints that are being done by developed countries. Okay, so reducing by 70%, kung ang pinag-uusapan pala natin dito is the impact of the Philippines oil and gas in the world contribution, parang di yata tayo mahihirapan pagdating sa mitigation, because as you've said, there are so many mitigation processes that we can apply, diba? We have another question here from JR. How does oil affect the environment?
How does oil affect the environment? It affects us very much. If I'll tell you one. Carbon dioxide is one. This is the environment, correct? But not only carbon dioxide. When you talk of particulate matter, when you talk of nitrous oxide, when you talk of nitrous oxides, oxides are two. It is nitric oxide and nitrogen dioxide. They're not greenhouse gases, but the number one is this carbon dioxide. Of course, water is one. These are the byproducts, by the way. It has different protocols. Now, the specific question of Engineer JR, how does oil affect the environment? Everyone is affected. Everyone is affected. And as I said, because the environment is affected, the United Nations started its meeting. Take note of the date. It's 1992, and then they started the Kyoto Protocol in 1995. They started the COP in 1995. Okay, 3 years on the third year, 1997, they started the Kyoto Protocol. It became a law in 2005. Okay, but it did not succeed because you were referring, Dr. Ria, about the developed and the underdeveloped. There was the developed took it unfairly for them to be sanctioned, but not the underdeveloped. In other words, you are the seller, you are penalized, but the user is not. Okay, so they started again in 2015 the Paris Climate Accord, and that Paris Climate Accord, everybody agreed. But you need to have the countries. When you say United Nations, it's all the countries in the world, the one that signed and ratified. You need to have an NDC. This is what Dr. Tatlong Hari, scientist Dr. Hari was saying, no, that we have to have a mitigation, and this is also the answer to Engineer Fard, Engineer JR. The world is affected by oil, but the study is in 100 years time. Okay, now, okay, go ahead with the next question.
Nakamute ka, ma'am.
You're still muted, Dr. Ria.
I'm sorry, I'm muted again. So we have a follow-up question by Sir Tatlong Hari. How do you mitigate the emissions of carbon dioxide from fossil fuel-fired plants? But before you answer that, sir, for the sake of those who are not really technically inclined, yung mga ating viewers right now, what is fossil fuel, by the way, and what are these fossil fuel-fired plants that Sir Tatlong Hari is talking about?
Okay, tell me. My turn? Okay, my turn. When you say fossil fuels, fired, it's not only on the, this is the downstream, this is the end user. Okay, these are the power plants. You have to burn them in order to boil the steam. This is basic, and then you will generate power. I will tell you, when you say fossil fuel, it's not only oil and gas. There are three types of fossil fuels: oil and gas and coal. Okay, so how you mitigate? In the production side, on the production side, we have one. We recover the associated gas. We're not burning. So it becomes LNG. This is our part. Then we recover the H2S. It becomes marketable sulfur. You see, this is one of the hazards of the oil and gas. So we recover them. When you recover them, then you are lessening the exhaust of the byproducts, which is sulfur dioxide. You know, all of this CO2, this sulfur dioxide, these oxides of nitrogen, they are acid rains. They have byproducts. They have resultant products. Okay, now how you mitigate the emissions of carbon dioxide? One is carbon capture. You have to capture the carbon, but this is very expensive. Others, you have to lessen the production of. You have to lessen the use of oil. On the other hand, is you need to use battery cars, which is now ongoing. You see.
So, Engineer Ronnie.
Go ahead. There's another question. Alternative for oil.
We can, before we answer that question,
Go ahead.
in the oil and gas manufacturing processes, there are always are byproducts. I think everything has a byproduct. Halos we have a zero waste when it comes to oil production. Lahat nagagamit sila no kung saan saang mga applications. Tama ba yon?
Yes, everything you need oil. You need oil and gas. This will run still for 100 years. Remember, the first industrial revolution, you call it the mechanical production, is 80 years. And then after 60 years, you have the second industrial revolution. That's 50 years. And then after that, sorry, wait, I have to charge. Sorry. Okay.
Go ahead po. Okay, so
Okay.
I think Ella, the
So,
topic is
what-
getting very excited.
Yes.
Exciting, I mean. Ang dami ko pang tanong.
Everything you need. Everything you need in this world is oil and gas.
Inuuna ko yung
Everything
question
you need in
ng
this
mga
world, you need
viewers.
oil and gas.
Go ahead po.
What would be the best alternative for oil? If you're talking of alternative for oil, so Mr. Ronald Ramos, you still have 100 years of using oil. Now, I will give you an example. What is the substitute? This is the ITER, the Interthermonuclear Experimental Reactor, which is now ongoing in America, in Russia, in China, in Korea, in Japan, in France. But this is experimental reactor. I hope you're getting me. That is one of the study, and that is nuclear fusion. Okay? I hope Engineer Ronald Ramos or Engineer, I don't know, maybe he's engineer, no? Oil and gas, best alternative for oil.
Yes, sir. Engineer Ronnie, before you answer before you have said the answer to the question of Engineer Ronel, you have said that we have a reserve of oil for the next 100 years. Is that how I understand it?
No, I'm saying that what oil will still be used for another 100 years.
Oh. Okay.
Because you don't have an alternative yet. And the alternative I am talking is the ITER or the tokamak, which this one I discussed with my for previous interviews, the ITER. This is deuterium and tritium. Go ahead for some interesting questions.
Engineer, you're talking for the next 100 years, so you're talking about new technologies or new sources of oil might be more acceptable 100 years from now, but at this present time we have to be confined with the resources or the oil sources that we have right now.
Yes. This is the solution that you have at hand now. The solution are the engineers. You know what I mean? The solution are the engineers. Once you know the process, you know the hazard, then you can mitigate. If you do not know anything, what's your point in mitigating? You do not know anything. You just know that there is effluents. There are exhausts. There are gases that will harm you. In other words, ganito yan eh. Alam mo na mayroong acid rain. Eh siyempre anong gagawin mo? Magsusumblero ka, magsusuot ka ng sombrero. Bakit? Babagsak sa ulo mo yung acid, di makakalbo ka. Ganun kasimple. Pero dapat, ayun naman, magagawa kahit nino, kahit hindi engineer. Pero pagka engineer ka, you should be there in the plant knowing the process. By knowing the process, you need to know all the chemicals that can mitigate.
All right. So you discuss about nuclear fusion. I've heard it right.
Yes.
Okay. So I think there are already talks about it under the PNRI or the Philippine Nuclear Research Institute.
No. Not in any way they're discussing this. This is fusion I'm talking. You see, you see, this is a good lesson. This is a wake-up call. You need to know what we need. You need to know what they are talking.
Mm-hmm.
They're not talking of nuclear fusion.
How about?
No, they're not.
The nuclear reactors. You've also mentioned about it a while ago.
The nuclear reactor they're talking is nuclear fission. You know what I'm saying? You see, you attend my course and you will see everything. I'm telling everyone, you attend my course and you will see the great difference. You will see the great difference, which is not taught in any university. When I handled the petroleum refinery truck, I discovered a lot of things. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, so Engineer Ronnie, you've discussed about different maybe substitute for oil. What can you say about shale oil?
Shale oil and shale gas, they are unconventional fossil fuels. They are the same. They are the same hydrocarbons. It's just that the rocks are different. It's shale. But, you know, when you say shale, when you say sedimentary, when you say limestone, when you say dolomites, they're the same. It's where the fossil fuels are stuck millions of years ago, starting from Cretaceous to Jurassic to Triassic to Permian up to Cambrian age. It's there. So
yes, because
what do you want to know about this shale oil and shale gas? There is another one. There is tar sands and oil sands. This is the ore emulsion. It's the same hydrocarbon, but the processes are different on how to process them. It's different process in oil. It's a different process in gas. And this is very. I'm alerting the engineers. If you do not know what I'm saying, you are not engineer. You are just a visitor. Take this in your mind. So you attend the course and you will see. You will be very powerful. You know what you're talking. Kasi, I'm sorry to say, you cannot be a smart ass. Sorry. Smart aleck. Sorry for the word. You cannot be a smart aleck in engineering or science. You cannot play with science. This is our game. Go ahead, doctor.
Okay, because the reason why I mentioned about the shale oil, I just remember in 2010 when they said that the U.S. is very much banking on shale, and that causes the the
Yes.
what you call this, the downfall, or the downfall recession in the oil and gas several years ago. Before
No,
we
not
answer
downfall.
the
Go ahead.
so sir, I'm just curious, do we replenish the oil? Because I've heard that they inject a kind of liquid form to replace the area that has been emptied by the oil.
Okay. Tell me. My turn? I will answer you. There is always a natural recovery, and there is a secondary recovery, and there is a enhanced recovery or the tertiary recovery. If you are talking of the primary recovery, it's free flowing. If you are talking of the secondary recovery, if it is oil, then you have to inject oil, or then you have to inject water or gas. If you are talking of gas, it's not replenishment. It is a recovery. It's a technique on how to get more, because in the earlier times, it's only you can get 10% and you leave the 90%. But because of this technique, you can get 60%, the maximum, and you leave the 40%. You cannot get it even if you want to. This is the technique. It is not replenishment. It is a technique on how to recover.
Okay, because because I have friends who are into seismic analysis, into oil exploration research, offshore research. I call it oil exploration, because they said that they have to find new sources of oil, because at some point in time the reserve of that particular area may not be enough, or will not be good enough for a source. Okay. There's a question posed here by Sir Kat. If we will use oil and gas and coal for the next 100 years, what will be the resulting increase in temperature? Maybe 1.5, greater than 1.5 degrees centigrade?
Of course, because the study is 3 to 5 degrees centigrade. And now the latest study, it may go up to 8 degrees centigrade, the average global temperature. Now, you remember this very well, because this is very nice topic. You are now entering in 1986, when you go over the upper safer limit, you enter the irreversible point, or you enter the irreversible level. When you go up further, now we are 420. At 1,200 ppm of CO2, the world is entering the level of extinction. This is why we are obliged to follow the Paris Agreement, the Paris Climate Accord, to limit the temperature rise to well below 2 degrees centigrade and keep it at 1.5 degrees centigrade temperature level rise. Because, as I said, you look at your backyard. Where do you live? For example, where do you live? You live where? In Manila. You are 16 meters above sea level. When you live in Bacoor, you are 60 meters above sea level. If you live in Bulacan, you are 27 feet above sea level. You must be aware of your ASL, Alpha Sierra Lima, the above sea level of your location. and then you compare it to the temperature rise, the global temperature rise. Now, why are they saying this 1.5 degrees centigrade? Why? Bakit? Because they want you to refer to the first industrial revolution. Do you know that? You have to refer to the first industrial revolution, where you have only 280 ppm. You be caught and aware. Why? Because for the last 4 years, for the last 2 years, you have already 4 ppm increase of CO2. When I say you, it's general. No, not you personally. We. You must be aware that in 2 years' time, you increase by 4 ppm. You do not know what is the meaning of this 4 ppm in 2 years. This means that in 800,000 years ago, you know what happened 800,000 years ago? Nobody knows what happened 800 years ago. In 800,000 years ago, a meteor landed, splashed on Earth. At that time, the level of CO2 is 170. 800,000 years ago. You see? 170. And it became 270 in 1750. But in 1750, up to now, is 270. You are now 420. Lampas pa nga eh. Tingnan mo. Subukan mo tingnan kung gaano kataas ang taas. Ang taas na increase. Eh, ang level of extinction mo nasa 1,200. Eh, 450 ka na eh. Ay, sorry, 420 ka na eh. Oh, yun ang wino-worry. Pero this is a choice. Do you want nuclear? In nuclear, I will tell you the everyday effluents, airborne, and even liquid effluents. You want to know? I'll tell you the cesium is 33 years. The strontium is another 30 years. The tritium is 13 years. The plutonium is 24,000 years. I am telling you, these are the hazards that you are going to face. In Chernobyl, if you want to analyze Chernobyl, when it exploded in 1986, the area covered, contaminated by the Chernobyl is 150,000 square kilometers. Sorry, 150,000 square kilometers. Now you relate this to your Philippines. Where are you living? Do you live in Luzon? If you live in Luzon, your area in Luzon is 110,000 square kilometers. You write it down, students and professionals. 150 yung 1986, 1,000 kilometers. Eh, ikaw 110 square kilometers sa Luzon. Just like in science, give me your conclusion. $110,000 square kilometers ka Luzon. Ang na-damage na area, 150. Paano ka na? Sige nga, give me your conclusion.
Sorry, engineer. So implied, of course, in your statement that nuclear energy may not be the right replacement. May not be a what you call this, an ideal source
substitute
of energy
replacement
in
or
the
substitute.
Philippines.
This is what I'm saying. Kaya nga, in ASEAN, you name a country which constructed nuclear power plant aside from the Philippines in 1976. Mayroon bang sumunod sa'yo?
Yeah, actually, we don't we haven't heard. But can you please tell us, we're still very young during the construction of Bataan nuclear plant, but we know that we're paying trillions of our loans due to that power plant constructed but was never operated. Okay. So what is the status of the Bataan nuclear plant right now po?
I'll tell you, in 1976, when it was constructed, we were looking for the studies. You need to have environmental impact assessment and the risk assessment. Now, when it was not operated in 1986, it was 22 billion. We already paid it up during the presidency of Macabagal Arroyo, 2007. We paid $22 billion. 22. Write it down. In 1976, it was 600. 1986, it became 2.2. It did not operate, so we have to pay all the interest. Presidency of GMA 2007. Am I correct there? 2007? Who's the president? Then we paid $22 billion. $22 billion, if you divide it by Burj Khalifa again, which is $1.5 billion, that is 14 times the Burj Khalifa. 14 and a half maybe. So the status now, what is the status now? In 1979, take note, the leader was given 4,000 flows. He asked for some assessment during that time in 1979. Why did I say 1979? Because there was this 3 Mile Island in Harrisburg, in 3 Mile Island in Pennsylvania. You know this, no? So the leader then asked for assessment, and they found out 4,000 flows. That was the status in 79. So the people were asking what were the remedies, and it stopped there because it was not operated it did not commission in 1986. This is the situation now. So what else do you want to know about?
But the nuclear reserves are already there, right? Until this point in time.
My turn to answer. Nuclear reserves. What do you mean? Nuclear reserves. We have the nuclear reserves is different story. We have Australia. We have Kazakhstan. We have Canada. Nuclear reserves. What do you mean nuclear reserves? You mean uranium reserves?
Are these the source of the nuclears?
Dr. Ria, reserves of nuclear or reserves of uranium?
The reserve that is used to operate a nuclear power plant.
Your question is not clear for me, but I will give you a good answer now. I'll give you it's not clear, no? Nuclear reserves, what is this? If you are talking about the Bataan nuclear power plant, that is 600 megawatts. The question, you can, if it operated in 1986, you will have a waste of around 150 tons of uranium every year. Now, if the nuclear waste, the spent nuclear fuel, is 150, you multiply it by how many years? 86 to 2022. How many years is 1986 and 1986 to 2022? You have 96, 106, 206, 216. So that's 36 years, correct? 36 years, you multiply it by 150 tons every year, total. That is your nuclear waste. My next question to you, thank you for reminding me, for reminding our discussion, where will you put your waste? your nuclear waste. This is not easy.
Yeah, I heard that nuclear waste are being stored at the under the
Above.
sea. That's true.
Above ground. And
Oh.
this is the major issue. Since Russia started the commercial nuclear power plant in 1954, now 1954 to 2022, how many years? 68 years. Almost 70 years. Question: do they have permanent repository of nuclear waste? Answer: none. America, do they have? None. Who in the country we have? Which country in the world have? Finland. But it will be operational. It will be operational in next year. How much? Can you tell me how much? You know how much? That is $4 billion. $4 billion. Now, my question, if you are pro-nuclear, will you include the repository during the risk assessment or environmental impact assessment? Yes or no? Give me your honest answer, doctor. Let's play.
Should be.
Should be, must be.
Or must be, or it should be a
Of course. Yes.
an inevitable part of the assessment.
Yes. So, if it is 4 billion, your nuclear is 4 billion, the decommissioning is another, you put it at 4 billion, or I'll give you a discount, 1 billion. So, 4 plus 1 is 5. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 billion US dollars. Paano bababa yung kuryente mo?
So
Oh.
therefore, the investment that is needed for such type of source of energy will not have a good cost-benefit ratio.
Yung sa atin, study lang naman tayo eh. Wala naman tayong magagawa dyan. Talagang, pag nakita mo, ganun talaga reality. Tingnan mo sa Amerika. Walang nuclear spent fuel repository. Ayaw nga nila sa Nevada eh. Alam mo yung Yucca Mountain? Have you heard of that?
Yes.
Oh, yung Yucca Mountain. Yung Nevada senator doon, si Reid. Senator Reid, namatay na eh. Ngayon, yung bago ngayon, babae, ayaw din eh. Bakit? Anong katwiran nila? Alam mo, katwiran nila, very basic. Anong katwiran nila? Sabihin ko ha. Sabi nila, hindi nga ako nagnu-nuclear dito sa Nevada eh. Tatapunan mo kami ng basura. Tapos sabi pa nila, tatapon mo sa amin yan, hindi nyo ba iniisip na pag yun na inaglik, wala kaming tubig dito? Makukontaminate nyo yung tubig sa amin. Sa ibaba, there may be leak because you cannot say in 10,000 years it is safe. How long is safe? You cannot predict. Bakit? 10,000 years yan eh. Oh, kita mo na? Di ba? Maganda pag-aralan. Ito, pinag-aaralan natin as engineers. When you study, you learn everything. You learn the hazards. Hindi yung tayong engineer, oo ka ng oo. Sinabi nung sikat, oo ka ng oo. Hindi ganon. You must have your own study.
So,
Sinabi ko, go ahead.
Engineer Ronnie, so what is now your stand about renewable energy? Because do you think it's a sustainable replacement of energy?
As I said nga, pamatid uhaw. Okay naman yung pamatid uhaw. Kita mo naman, ilan lang ang megawatt, pang building lang. Okay naman yan, hindi man pwedeng kontrahin yan. Maganda na, katulad ng solar. Anong sabi ni Elon Musk? Ano sabi ni Elon Musk sa solar? We have an enormous, gigantic fusion reactor up there. Sabi niya gano'n, di ba? Exact word. Kaya wala tayong masasabi dyan. Maganda naman. Yun lang nga, it has its own flaws. Kung gusto mo naman yung small modular reactor in SMR, have you heard of that, Doctor? SMR, the small modular reactor, yung mga 30 megawatt lang, ganyan na nuclear. Eh, walang
I'm
bumibili
not.
niyan eh.
I've heard, but I'm not familiar if there's
Oo.
here in the
Okay.
Philippines.
Thank you, Doctor. Kasi pag-analyze niya, ganito lang. Sige, sa ASEAN, sino ang unang-unang bibili? Palagay mo, give me your opinion. Sa palagay mo, sa ASEAN, sino ang unang-unang bibili ng SMR?
In the ASEAN, actually, I traveled all the ASEAN countries. Me and Ella, we just arrived 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've seen, of course, Malaysia, Malaysia and Brunei have their own good oil, no, energy. I don't know if oil and gas reserve, but I haven't heard of a nuclear. Maybe ang unang bibili niyan ay yung konti ang tao, Brunei. Joke. Ano lang yun,
Hindi.
ang stupid guess yun,
Ganito,
because
Doctor.
Brunei has only 450 population.
Hindi, Doctor, let me correct. Kasi ang bibili niya, yung kailangan ng power. Katulad mo, Pilipinas, ilan ang power mo kailangan dito sa energy dito sa Luzon? 7,000 megawatt. Pagka summer, 10,000 megawatt. Tama? Ang Singapore, 14,000 megawatt. Eh sila ang unang bibili niyan. Di ba? Kasi kailangan nila ng energy.
Agree, oo nga pala. Dahil
Ba't di
because
umorder?
mura
And
nga
they never
pala
talk.
ang kuryente sa mura ang electricity sa Brunei. Mura din ang gas, mura din ang diesel, mura lahat sa kanila.
Oh,
Laos has
kasi
very
ilan lang
much
tao doon,
problematic in their
300,000.
supply.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, doctor. It's not Brunei. It's not Sabah. It's not Malaysia. It's Singapore. Kasi they need 14,000 megawatt eh. Eh bakit hindi umorder? Yung ginawa sa UAE, kaya nilang gawin yon. Unang-una, may problema ang Singapore sa area. Pero ang sabi ni Edward Teller, nung nagkausap niya si Lee Kuan Yew, nung time na yon, nung mga panahon na yon, underground nuclear. Kasi Singapore nga eh, ayaw din eh. Ayaw din ni Lee Kuan Yew. Hanggang ngayon, ayaw din nila. Ang Indonesia, yan, nabanggit ko doon sa discussion namin ni Congressman Kohang ko noon, ni Congressman Mark. Ang Indonesia, thorium. Andun yun sa Kilamantan. Thorium yun, experimental reactor, 50 megawatt lang yun, 5-0. Kasi thorium. Alam ko naman yung iniisip nila doon eh. Pero hazardous ang thorium. By the way, thorium is 14.5 billion years radio half-life. Half-life, ha? Ang uranium mo kasi, 4.5 billion years. Thorium yon. Pero bakit 50 megawatt? Alam mo kung bakit? Kasi inaabangan nila baka magkatotoo yung ITER. Yung ITER kasi 50 megawatt ang kailangan mo to drive, and then you will produce 500 megawatt of power. I hope you're getting me. Kaso alam mo yung ITER, that is, alam mo kung gaano kainit yun? Let's play. Let's have a little play. Let's have a game. Alam mo kung gaano kainit yung ITER, yung tokamak? Alam mo temperature nun? Bibigyan kita ng game. Magge-game lang tayo. Anong temperature ng sun? Anong gusto mo sa sun?
The only
Anong gusto mo sa
temperature
sun?
I know is the temperature of the process of
Tatlo yan.
creating a clinker for the cement, which is about 3,500 degrees Celsius.
Hindi, kung
And,
3,500 degrees, yes, I know that. Eh, hindi, ito, araw na pinag-uusapan natin. Araw, yung sun. The sun, tatlo yan. Pwede mong, gusto mo yung surface of the sun, gusto mo yung corona, o gusto mo yung core.
Just the surface, maybe.
Ay, wala sinabi yan. Ang bibigay ko nga sa'yo, yung core eh. Ang core, 15 million. 15 million degrees centigrade. Do you understand? Kung core of the sun, 15 million. Kung yung sinasabi mo, yung surface lang, 5,000 lang yun. At kung sinasabi mo yung corona, that is 1 million. Ang tutumbukin natin yung core. 15 million. Alam mo kung gaano kainit yung yung tokamak? Ha? 150 million. 10 times the temperature of the core of the sun. Ayan, nag-game lang tayo ha. Game na totoo.
There's a question here by nagpi-feedback kasi ako, hindi ako wait lang. Why renewable energy is not pushed that much in the Philippines?
Hindi. Research. We're pushing. Okay naman ano, isang araw lang nga yung Robinson sa Cebu. Ay hindi. Sorry. Robinson sa Bacolod ba 'yon? 'Di ba? 3.5 megawatt. Sorry. I'm not familiar ng megawatt, nakalimutan ko. Research nyo na lang. Nagpupush yan, nagpupush naman, renewable energy, RE, nagpupush. Unang-una, Engineer Romel, if you're engineer, no? I call you engineer. Yung geothermal, renewable yan eh. Yung hydro, di ba renewable yan? Oh. Nagpupush noon pa yan. Geothermal. Nagpupush yan noon pa. Kasi we are dati number 2, ngayon number 4 tayo, USA, Indonesia, maybe number 3. Or nasa top 4 tayo producing steam geothermal. Go ahead,
Maybe,
Doctor.
Ronel is asking about a 100% adaptability of renewable energy in the whole country. Pero I think, Sir Engineer Ronnie, for a mixed use, of course, I hope you agree with the mixed use, right?
Mixed energy.
Yeah, mixed energy. So, if the whole Philippines is set up that way, because I know renewable energy is not being solar, for instance, has some what you call this, has some I mean, I think Meralco is having problem about introducing 100% solar to all of us, or in fact even 50%. Ang tanong ko lang as engineer, to have a very successful mixed use of energy source in the Philippines, how much do you think is needed para ma-establish or ma-put in place siya dito sa Pilipinas?
Hindi, kasi meron naman eh. Bakit? Meron tayong hydro, meron tayong geothermal, di ba? Sa Macban, Makiling Banahaw, sa Bacman, Macnutan Manito, sa Bicol. Meron naman Bakit hindi pinupush ang sinasabi niya? Baka yung solar lang at saka yung wind turbines ang sinasabi niya na hindi masyado na ipupush. Pero kung renewable ang term niya eh. Renewable ang term niya eh, na sinabi eh. RE,
Yeah, baka nga sa solar. Oo, yeah,
solar
Ronel.
Kasi nga,
sa solar,
may sagot doon.
Solar po.
Oo, sa solar, kasi nga, 1 hectare is 1 megawatt. Minsan nga, nabasa ko, 2 hectares eh. O sa 1 hectare, 1 megawatt, edi ang dami mong kakainin na lupa. Yun lang no, kaya medyo, at saka binabagyo ka. So, yun ang mga kasama sa mga risk mo. Yun lang ang sagot ko ron.
So there's a reaction from Engineer Freddy Lilo. Di pa kasi kaya mag-maintain ng base load ang renewable.
Oo, di ba sinabi natin yan?
Yeah.
Hindi kaya.
Hindi po kaya ang renewable ang base load ng grid need for diverse source ng power generation. Thank you for the interaction, Engineer Freddy. Estudyante ko yan. Ito pa isang reaction. Yung geothermal po, maliliit po ang capacity ng planta. Wala pong planta sa Pinas na kasing lakas ng ilihan sa San Gabriel. Any reaction po, Engineer Ronnie?
Oo. Hindi naman, oo, tama. Hindi, ang ibig sabihin lang yan, mas malaki ika niya yung sa Ilihan, sa Santa Rita, sa San Gabriel, at saka meron tayong bago, yung San Ilihan, Santa Rita, San Lorenzo. Tapos meron tayo San Gabriel, tapos dumagdag yung Abion. Yung Abion naman, 90 lang eh. Parang pinapahiwatig niya lang na alam niya yung capacity nung yung Ilihan at saka Santa Rita. Yung Macban, 300 megawatt yun. 1977 yun, oo. Malakas din. Malakas din ang geothermal. Yun ang kailangan natin pag-ukulan ng pansin, geothermal. Kasi marami tayong bundok eh. Bundok. Vulkan. Vulkan. We have 300 volcanoes in the Philippines, kung hindi nyo alam. And we have 50 active volcanoes. Kasi nga, nasa ring of fire tayo eh. At tayo, yun nga, sabi ko, yun, 50 ang active. So, dapat maghanap ka ng steam. Geothermal. Yun ang maganda.
Ayan, steam. So, for this at this point, engineer, can you please tell our viewers ano po yung mga courses that your training center is offering at paano sila makaka-enroll? So, magkano yung kailangan nilang bayad? O meron ba tong series of trainings para makompleto nila yung buong buo?
Ganito yan. The last time I have a student who is a chemical engineer and chemist, and she was inactive for several years, 17 years maybe. Pero nung nag-train siya sa akin, after 5 days she was energized And I'm telling you, hindi mo siya kayang talunin pagdating dito sa nuclear, pagdating dito sa oil and gas process. The first thing you need to know is the oil and gas process. As long as you do not know the process in Malampaya, and even if you know, this is only a tip of the iceberg. Dumi lang ng kuko mo yan. Dumi lang ng kuko, hindi mo pa alam. Nakakahiya, di ba? So pag-aralan mo, kasi pagkatapos niyan, gas pa lang yung pinag-uusapan natin, wala pa sa oil. You need to know the chemicals. You need to know the chemicals used in the gas oil separation plant. Nasa Saudi ka. Eto, malungkot dito, 30 years nagtrabaho sa Saudi, walang alam ni isang process. Maniwala ka? And they are claiming oil and gas experts. Nakausap ko ni isang process walang alam O nakausap ko, yung sabi ko sa Saudi Arabia walang LNG. Nagagalit pa Bakit ko daw sinisiraan? Hindi ko sinisiraan, wala talagang LNG sa Saudi Arabia, ano ba? Ba't ko na masisiraan? Because they do not know. They do not have education at all. All they did for the past 30 years until they retire is to get money. Pagdating dito, wala kang i-share sa kababayan mo. Now you need to know what is the process in Qatar, in the UAE, in Oman, in Saudi Arabia. You need to know the chemicals they are using, the chemicals and its formula. And you will also realize other energy which is non-existing, and they are promoting. This is what I'm saying. You need, kaya ikaw ang engineer, hindi ka naniniwala basta-basta. Biro mo, nakarinig ka ng deuterium. Nung araw pa yan. Kasi course ko nga yan nung araw pa yan. I heard that in 1977. Kung ikaw ang engineer at ikaw'y naniniwala, ay malaki ang gap. Then you have to enroll. And you have to teach your juniors. Di ba? O katulad nyo, may lumalabas na kung ano-anong mga air condition. Paano ka naman pagkat, I'm telling you, when you enroll my course, you will be very, very powerful.
So there's a question here by Engineer Lilo.
Go ahead.
When you say process, ano po iyon? Yan sa redundancy design, process safety po ba as a whole or yung media lang po sa loob ng process line?
Process as a whole. As a whole. Kasi pagka alam mo yung process, everything dadaanan mo, sasagasaan mo lahat yung mga mga chemicals, mga lines, pati yung mga pipelines. Katulad yan, LNG, hindi mo alam. Generic Generic yung sabi ko, hindi mo alam. Puro, anong alam mo? Kaya ang dali mo maloko Ito, kaya ko lang sinasabi kaya ang dali maloko Biro mo yung water fuel. Sino naniniwala dyan? Engineer ka, naniniwala ka dyan? Kailan ka pinanganak? Sorry ha to say ha, kasi iniinsulto ka na eh. Oo ka pa ng oo, naniniwala pa eh. Mag-enroll ka ng course ko, malalaman mo kung bakit hindi. You see? Sasabihin ko sa yung energy, yung since 1977, natutunan ko, narinig ko. Sa Mapua pa ako, second year high school ako, second year college ako. Pinag-aralan ko ng gusto. And I'm telling you, I'm standing on solid ground. Every time I say something, I am standing on solid ground. And that must be the engineer. Biro mo, nabasa mo yung report, di ba? Sa ASEAN. The lowest IQ. Hindi naman masama sabihin yun dahil nasa newspaper, nasa lahat. I don't want to accept that. Kaya ina-upgrade ko ang mga Filipino engineers and even with masters and with doctorates. We cannot live believing lies
Engineer
on
Ronnie.
energies and science. Go ahead.
So, how do you call your training center? O3 GHSE ba?
Alam mo, sa totoo lang, yung O3, hindi mo naman dapat, alam mo, pagka-engineer tayo, hindi ka malilito dyan eh. Bakit? Chemical formula ng ozone yan eh. Di ba? Kaya lang, yes, O3G, kaya bonus na yun sa'yo. Hindi ka malilito dyan. Dapat alam mo rin yung ozone. If it is a good ozone or bad ozone. Yung O3GHSE, kung incidental na lang yung offshore, onshore oil and gas. Di ba?
So, yung mga earliest na gustong mag-enroll or mag-join sa iyong training, kailan po ba ito at ano yung pangalan ng training program?
Yung training program natin is oil and gas, International Oil and Gas Process, LNG, NGL. NGL lang, hindi pa rin alam. Dapat and sulfur recovery, NHSE, environment. This is very powerful. Yung mga estudyante ko pag nagsasalita sila about environment, this is not just about saying global warming and climate change. There's another issue which UNFCCC is not also referring. Kaya nga si Trump nagtataka eh, di ba sabi ko sa inyo? Bakit siya nagtataka? Kasi ang init, ang lamig-lamig eh, hinahanap niya yung global warming. That is something na kung siya nagtataka, di lalo ng ikaw. Pero dapat hindi ka papayag dahil engineer ka eh, tsaka environment ka eh. So, it is a very, very powerful course for engineer. Oil and gas, because oil and gas is one of the best foundation of knowledge for engineers.
Okay.
Tapos malalaman mo na rin ang nuclear kasi magkakadikit yan, magkakambal yan.
Engineer, pwede mo i-type sa ating contact details, yung contact details dito sa ating comment section so that they could get yung kahit yung website mo or your Facebook page so that they would know sila Fred Lilo, sila Ronel, of course they're telling their classmates and some of our viewers here, they could cascade the information, no? Ako din gusto ko ding mag-join one of your training very soon and I will cascade this to the students of course National University, no? All right.
I'll make them very powerful. Very powerful.
Very affordable daw po ba?
Yes. Message nyo lang ako kasi syempre no. Sabi nga, i-type mo Oil and Gas Training Center in Southeast Asia. Ako lang lalabas. Bakit? Hindi na matuturo yan kasi nung nag-introduction ako sa iyo, sabi ko sa iyo, nagpunta ako sa offshore, sa onshore, sa offshore at saka sa LNG. Iyan ang kumpleto. Hindi mo magagawa yan pag nandun sa Middle East. Bakit? Kasi pagka sinuweldohan ka na ng ito na, sasabihin ko sa iyo, ang sweldo sa Middle East, yung 28. Mababa yung sweldo ko nung araw, doon kami. Kalahating milyon na yun eh. Mababa yun ha. Kasi yung estudyante ko, yung sumunod sa akin, 1 milyon. Nagbibigay sila ng ganon, libre lahat. Ba, kailangan masagot mo yung tama yung masagot mo ng tama yung tanong nung foreigners, the Arabs and the Brits and the Americans. They are there listening to you. Malalaman nila kung ikaw ay walang alam o may alam. Isang tanong lang. Isang chemical formula lang, hindi mo nasagot. You're out. Alam mo naman dyan, Pag hindi mo nasagot ang isa sa interview, wala ka nang aabangan susunod na tanong. Out ka
Yes,
na.
and I think there would be a lot of employment opportunities in the oil and gas, and I know how it's lucrative, no? Nag-ano ko nag-echo. All right, are your courses being audited by the higher education institutions such as CHED, DOST, DOE, any endorsement from them?
Hindi, yung dalawa, hindi ko alam yan eh. Yung CHED at saka DOS. Alam ko yan. Ibig sabihin, hindi naman gaganyan. Ano lang yan, yung DOE. Sikanti ko ang Department of Natural Gas. Natural Gas Division.
All right, I think Ella will have some questions. Yung mga medyo personal questions. Ella.
I actually, Dr. Ria, nag-notes ako ng mga ibang minention ni Sir. Kasi there were terms na parang hindi ko talaga siya maarok. Kasi
Yung
hindi
di
ako
maarok,
engineer.
umattend ka ng course ko. Pagka
Hindi
umattend
ako
ka ng course ko.
engineer.
Hindi, wala problema. Ganyan yung mga estudyante ko eh. Hindi nila malaman.
Pero parang
Nung umattend sila, para kang grade 1 na natuto agad. Yes. Yes.
Like, na-appreciate ko yung mga sinasabi niyang mga history and then may mga computation siya, ma'am, a while ago. Paano niyo po yun na-compute, sir, ng ganun kabilis? Like, for example,
Ano ba kinupute ko? Wala naman akong
you're talking
kinukumpute,
about 1986 to 2022 and then you mentioned 250 tons and where do you put the nuclear waste? You said that and then you mentioned yung 15 million, ano ba yung sabi ko lang?
Yung temperature ng sun. Ano yun, nakalimutan mo lang, tinuro sa'yo nung high school, hindi ka lang nakikinig kasi meron pang boyfriend.
Meron pang 22 billion. Hindi, meron pa pong 22 billion. Sabi ko, grabe.
Hindi, madali lang yun.
But anyway, sir, my question
Try to attend. Kasi you want to become powerful in Asia? You want to become powerful in ASEAN? You attend my course. Hindi pwedeng hindi mo alam. Dapat alam mo kasi. Bakit? Yes.
Maybe Ella could cascade this to First City Providential College na Ella so that your students can also attend the training.
Yes.
Ang mga controversy diyan, Dr. Ria, is bakit daw sa United Arab Emirates nag-nuclear samantalang they rank number 6 both in the oil and gas. Ang dami doon, kasama ko doon mga Pilipino. Siyempre, kasama ko yung mga yon. Anong sagot mo doon? Yan, diniscuss namin ni Congressman yan sa debate namin. Yan naman pinagmamalaki ng mga pro-nuclear. Sabi nila, ang United Arab Emirates, ang yaman-yaman sa oil and gas, nag-nuclear. Anong klaseng yan? Hindi ganun ang reasoning. Kaya nag-nuclear yan, gawa ng Kyoto Protocol. It was approved in 2005 and then in 2006, because of the carbon credits, they tried to have a nuclear. That's Baraka. 5.4 gigawatts. Kaso nangyari, nung na-aproban na ng 2006, nung ginawa ng 2009, 2011, nagkaroon ng Japan Fukushima, Fukushima Daiichi noong 2011, ongoing na. Yun ang istorya noon. It's because of the carbon credits, not for anything else. Kasi nga malaki ang carbon footprints nila eh. They want to offset it by having carbon credits, by having a nuclear. Ganun ang istorya noon. Tingnan mo, ang Saudi Arabia magno-nuclear ba? Sabi ko hindi magno-nuclear yan. Bakit? Kasi nga when you assess the hazards, you think of the worst scenario, think of the worst of the worst, and it will happen in the worst possible moment. Think of the known unknowns and the unknown unknowns. Ay biglang-bigla nagkaroon ng malaki problema ron eh. Kaya hindi magkakaroon ng nuclear.
Yeah, according to Engineer Freddy, kaya po nag-nuclear is diversity of supply of power generation of 4,500 megawatts.
Baliktad pa yun, hindi 4,500, 5,400. Kita mo na. Yun energy mix. Energy mix yun. Tama naman siya doon eh. Energy mix yan. Kaya tinan mo, binanggit mo ang nuclear sa UAE. O meron silang sa Al-Hasyan eh. Al-Hasyan is 2,400 coal. Sa Dubai pa yon. Oh. Yun ang energy mix. So,
Yes, Ella?
yes, go ahead, Miss Ella.
May comment pa. Nag-detach po sila sa thermal desalination kasi nasa closed circuit system po sila ng gas turbine at Dagal.
Hindi, sino ba yan? Si Freddy. Kung sinasabi mo desalination, it's because na hindi nag-detach sa thermal desalination kasi na sa closed circuit. Ganoon naman talaga eh. Ganoon naman talaga kaya nga ang nuclear kasi syempre kaya nila mag-desalination. Mas malaki energy na kailangan, so nuclear. Kasama rin yan, energy mix na rin yan. Energy mix, desalination. Oh, makailangan ng malaking power diyan para pang-inom ng tubig.
Sir, I'd like to ask, what is your best project?
Best project?
Yes.
Hindi. Businessman, ano lang ako eh. OFW lang ako eh, na nagtayo ng training center. Then, nakasama ko yung mga estudyante ko na andun, nakakasalubong ko. Nagpapasalamat sila. Ganun lang.
So maybe the training center that you put up. And my next question, Ma'am Ria, do you have any questions? Because I have further questions. Like, sir, aside from training center, what else do you want to do in life? What else you want to
Hindi,
achieve?
yun lang. Kasi ano naman ako eh, old na eh. Yun lang.
So parang you're happy to serve and to train young
Oo.
minds.
Siyempre, gusto ko kumita sila ng malaki. At saka hangaan sila. Kasi alam mo naman, ang reputation ng Filipino doon, puro tayo, alam mo na, third world tayo eh. Diba?
Baka malaki na. Marami ng investment si Sir.
Hindi, wala.
Nagsabi na siya kung magkano yung sweldo niya before
Oo nga eh.
Before yun, nung naandun, ganun magpasweldo yun.
Marami na
Lahat
siya
naman ganun eh,
naipon.
hanggang ngayon eh. Hanggang ngayon, uuwi ka dito, may sweldo ka rin. Buo.
So sir, you serve for how many years po as an OFW po?
30 years eh.
30
30
years. So, with that experience, ano po ang most significant investment po ninyo?
Wala eh.
Ayaw sabihin.
Hindi, wala naman talaga eh. Wala naman. Ano lang, yung magtuturo lang ako, okay na ako yan.
And so, Abu Dhabi po ang sinabi ni Freddy Lilo. Na cascade na ba ito, Ma'am Ria? Abu Dhabi po ang barangay.
Kahit mapunta ka sa Abu Dhabi, hindi tuturo sa yung course na to eh. Oh. Kaya yung mga estudyante ko, pagka in-interview, kahit sa Saudi Arabia, saan mo natutunan yan? Bakit? Nagtataka sila, ba't nila nalaman? Hindi pa nga sila nakakapasok. Hindi ba very impressive yon? Di ba very impressive yon? Kausap mo,
Yes.
galing oh. Tapos, yung mga tao doon, 30 years na, walang alam ni isang process. Oh, gusto mo, subukan mo sila ngayon. Challenge to sa kanila.
So sir, meron akong clarification lang kasi medyo hindi ako familiar kasi talaga dito sa mga
Sige
term.
lang.
Pero naintindihan ko naman yung mga dinidiscuss niyo po. And ano po yung pinaka-recommend niyo talaga sa Philippines?
Na ano?
Na when it comes to nuclear, ano ba tayo?
Ay, hindi nga pwedeng mag-nuclear dito. Pagka nag-aral ka, kahit pro-nuclear ka, pag nag-aral ka ng hazards, hindi ka na magpo-pro.
So ano po ma-recommend
Imagine the daily effluents, airborne and liquid effluents that occurring every day during the operation. Kung hindi mo narinig yan, abay mag-aral ka. Kahit mo sa Malaysia, sa Indonesia, sa ASEAN, meron ba nagtayo? May nagtayo ba? Meron? Wala.
Walang nakita si Ella nung nagpunta siya sa
Kita mo na?
6 na bansa.
Oh, nakita mo?
600 lang.
Kaya nga, yung sinasabi ko sa'yo, mag-aral ka.
So,
Kasi
bakit
yung sinasabi mo, ang sinasabi kasi ng pro-nuclear, yung sa Amerika, lahat ng nuclear doon nasa east side. Sa west side, wala. Sa Russia, ganun din. Sa east side. Sa west side, wala. Sa Canada, ganun din. Oh, ito ang magandang tanong dito eh. Ang Australia at saka Kazakhstan, they are top 4 in uranium reserves. Bakit sila walang nuclear? Hindi ka ba nagtataka? Di ba? Samantalang activist yan. Ang Australia, activist yan sa climate change. Nung una, hindi sila pumirma sa Kyoto Protocol. Bandang huli, nung nagkaroon sa Copenhagen, noong 2010, pumirma na sila. Ngayon, nakapirma pa rin sila. Oh.
Yes.
Eh, bakit walang nuclear? Go ahead.
Yes. So for now po, engineer, we need to know if nakinig yung mga audience. So you have to write. We have here we will go to our Pinoy Radio. You have the private chat on the right side of the screen. And can you please type 5 significant words that you have mentioned na pahuhulaan natin sa ating mga audience. Huwag niyo po sila masyadong pahirapan, pero pwede rin niyo po silang pahirapan. Magagaling naman yung mga yan. So, 5 words, no? 5 words you significantly mentioned. Pakitype po yung 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 words. And then kayo rin po ang magpapahula. No? Pakitype po dito sa private chat natin. Ito, magta-type hi, sir. Yan. Sa private chat po, para hindi po nila mabasa. Opo, 5 words sa pahuhulaan natin. Okay, so habang nagsusulat si sir ng 5 words, makiki-shoutout muna tayo. Sabi ni Freddy, hi Ma'am Ella, it will be diverse energy source from nuclear, gas, turbine, geothermal, hydro, solar, wind. Pero as the guest said, it should be carefully assessed and designed po. Very well said. And according to Sir Kat, bakit hindi na lang integrate ang mga courses po sa curriculum ng Mapua at NU at bakit tuloy ang nuclear engineering course sa ibang bansa? Yan ang mga tanong nila. Okay. Kung gustong sagutin ni Sir, it's up to him.
Yes.
Okay, pero after na siguro ng 5 words, you, Sir, pag na-type mo na, ayan, kita na ako ng 2 words, hinihintay ko pa yung 3. Shout out muna saglit si Ella. Yes, Ella, go ahead.
Yeah, of course. Thank you sa mga viewers na nakasupport po sa ating host tonight, na up to this moment talagang nandyan po sila. Make a love shoutout to all of you. Of course, I'd like to shoutout Kathniel TV. Siya pala yung early bird kanina, hindi pala si Sister Reza, followed by Sister Reza Santiago. And then, of course, si Ma'am JR. Make a love shoutout po. Thank you for supporting Dr. Ria Liza. Nalaglagyan si guest ma'am. And shoutout also kay Kauntabay TV. Ayan, hello to all. MLSO. Ayan, natamsta ka na po siya. Ayan na po si Sir. And,
Napindot ako.
or shoutout kay Sharon CV Channel. Dong Tigidong. Ayan, Engineer Lipat Moderator. And of course, Ma'am Kat. Love shoutout po. Thank you so much for tuning in. Sharon, Ma'am Kat, Sis Chofis World, Sis Chofis and Tiffany. And of course, si Ma'am Mitos, Tatlong Hari. Thank you for very substantial questions and interactions po ninyo ni Sir Freddy. And sabi ni Sir Bon, ano yung sinabi niya? Sorry, hindi ko nabasa. And shoutout din po kay Sir Ronel Ramos. And ako si Bagdoy Girls. And of course, Happy DTV, Lipat Shine. Mega love shoutout din po sa, and thank you sa mga paharang tuloy nyo kay Dr. Ria Liza. Parang ang dami kong nakikita ang team helpful na hindi po naka-color green. Bakit naman, no? Sa halagang 49 pesos, you may become a member, no, of Feminine Genius na ng ating host. And shoutout po sa lahat po ng mga members po ng ating The Feminine Genius po ni Dr. Ria Liza. Keep on supporting our host kasi we are about to, of course, launch the livelihood activities po, no, na Yan po ang pangakong project ng The Feminine Genius. So, hindi na po pang girls ang The Feminine Genius. Open po yan sa mga the Generation Z and male genius like our guest tonight. And of course, shoutout din po dito sa ating mga viewers na nasa Facebook po. I cannot see your names, but please don't forget to shout out your name and whatever comment you would like to mention. Please, pumasok po kayo sa YouTube channel ni Dr. Ria Liza. And actually sa Facebook, you can shout out naman, but please don't forget to mention your name so that I can include you here in the attendance portion. Because attendance every Saturday, using your shout out your name, it will serve as your entry for the grand raffle on December. And then, shout out din po kay Mia Koy, ayan, and Sir Freddy, ayan, thank you so much po sa mga magagandang questions mo kanina sa guest, Sir Freddy Lailo. Ayan, and of course, si Sir Ronel Ramos din. Ayan, and meron po mga lately questions po na it's up to our guest po if sasagutin niyo po
Sige,
yan.
kahit ano.
Ayan po, ito po yun.
Welcome yan. Welcome sa akin
Sorry,
yan. Kahit anong tanong mo.
hindi po yan. Bakit hindi na lang i-integrate ang mga courses mo? Ayan.
Natanong na
Dapat
yan
nga eh.
kanina.
Dapat
This
nga eh.
one from Bon.
And this one, what's the recommended energy platform best? Yan, tinanong ko rin yan. Ano pong
Energy platform? Yun nga, LNG na lang muna. At the moment, LNG kasi yun lang naman namang available ngayon eh. Kasi kung makukuha mo ang Sampaguita, kasi nung merong year yan eh na 2012, yung Monte de Oro. Alam niyo yung Monte de Oro? Hindi niyo alam? O yun, at saka yung kay Pangilinan, yung forum. Yun ang doon, mag-ooperate. Sana matuloy. Kasi nga may problema eh. Geopolitical, alam mo na. I don't want to discuss this. Kasi that is 2.7 trillion cubic feet. If that is 3.7, that will run 50 years.
We have
50
the
years.
5 words already. Sir, kayo po ang magbibigay ng clue. Get ready na po tayo for ating Pinoy Henyo. Sir, first word.
Ako ba?
Kayo po magbibigay ng clue.
Ang clue? Oh, yung company ko.
Pag nagkamali pa sila dyan. Binasa ko nga na literal eh. Okay. So I think, tama ba to, sir? Tama na ba to, sir?
Nawala ako sa ano eh. Sorry hindi ako makabalik eh.
Okay, so eto.
Pag mag-extra ko, baka mawala ako eh.
Oh, ako, binasa ko siya ng
Ayan,
O3GHSE. ONG Training Center. Okay. Congratulations, Ronel. Nahuli si Jam. Hello, Jam. Mendoza. And hello, Happy. Hello, Fermina Sunga. Gagalingan nyo. Bilisan nyo yung pagpindot. Okay. Next word po, sir.
Kasi, i-chat mo nga. I-chat mo nga ako. Basta.
Hello. Parang nawala si sir.
Yes, ma'am. Ayan na po si sir.
Ayan na si sir.
Doc,
Ayan.
pakichat mo nga sa akin yung word. Ikaw kayo na magbigay sa akin ng word.
Sige. Lalagay ko yung word.
Oh, sorry. Sige pa. Yeah.
Dapat para sinulat ko eh. Pero very interesting yung usapan natin. Hindi pero bitin pa eh. Bitin pa kasi gusto ko yung
Sir, you
kinokontra
saw
ako.
the next word?
Nasaan na?
Nasa chat sa ay, teka, saglit. Chinat kita sa Facebook eh.
Sa Facebook? O,
Pero
titingnan
ito,
ko
chat
ngayon.
kita dito sa private chat. Sa
Ayan,
right
ayan,
side.
ayan.
Word number
Nasaan na?
2.
Nasaan?
Eto, sir. Nakikita mo, chinat ko. Ayan.
Okay. Yung ito ang fuel for the Philippines. I-chat mo na sa akin lahat para maano mo na sa akin, para malaman ko. Ito ang fuel sa Philippines na ginawa ngayon. Sabi ko 130,000 cubic meters ang isa, dalawa is 260,000. Ito ang sige pa. Ito ang fuel ng Philippines at this point in time. Buti na nakuha mo, no? Okay.
Nakita ko
Okay
yung
na yan.
word na yan kanina. May
Yung
nag-type.
susunod
Ayun,
na
may
word
sagot
ngayon.
niya eh.
Meron na.
Sir, that stands for what?
Ayan, napanalo.
Yung
It
N.
stands for what? Stands for what? Liquefied
Yes, po.
natural gas.
Yun, thank you po.
Yes. Yan, pagka pinag-aralan mo yan sa sa training center ko, kahit saan bansa ka magpunta, for 100 years, yan pa ang magiging kita mo, yan ang inaano sa Russia? Diba? Sa Russia,
Okay,
saka
so
sa
correct answer is
Uzbekistan.
Correct answer
Next.
is Sir Mitos, followed by Sir Engineer Freddy. Next word. Third
Ang
word.
next word natin. Yes, ang next word, clue. Ito yung pagbabago ng panahon. Problema ng mundo. Kaya nagkaroon ng tinatawag na COP. Hindi pa natin na-discuss yun. Dapat alam nyo rin yun.
Congrats po, Mamito.
Pagbabago.
Ayan o, sumagot
Ng
sa
Absolutely
panahon.
correct
Coffee,
answer. Pollens
Yun, no?
TV is
Tama
correct.
yun.
Wow, naunahan si Joffy.
Sayang, Chofi, kasi nasa Hong Kong siya eh. Na-late yung internet niya. Eto, next word dito. Bilib ako pag sino makakasagot dito.
Ito yung tinatawag na pumalit sa Kyoto Protocol. Pinaltan niya yung Kyoto Protocol. Yan na yun. Nangyari ito noong 2015. Ayan,
Yung mga
nasa
na-take
na.
down ng notes dyan.
Ang galing ng programa mo. Nagte-take note sila. Mga estudyante?
Hindi po. Iba-iba. Kasi mo karamihan sa kanila mga professional na eh.
Umattend kayo ng course nang malaman yun. Dami nyo pang dapat alamin.
Pag narinig niyo yung word na Kyoto, so syempre place yun, di ba? So ano yung replace niya? Ay, eto ang sagot. Sige pa,
May nakakuha na ba? Pwede na yan.
pwede na to. Paris Accord.
Pwede na yan. Yan yung,
Doha Amendment. Paris Accord rin kay
Doha
Freddy.
Hindi, yung una pa, tama yun. Ayun, pwede na yan. Pero bitin pa yan. Pero pwede na yan.
Okay. So, pwede na. Okay, correct na yung answer.
Kasi
And then the last word.
Ang last word natin ngayon is, ito ang controversial. Ito ang controversial na masarap pag-aralan. Tayo, puro pag-aaral lang tayo, ha? Wala tayong kung anong. Ito ang tatawag na
Pinakatama yata to eh. Kanina.
yan, tama yan,
Ito yung pinakatama, no? Paris Agreement. Or
Hindi,
Paris
tama
Accord
din yung
kasi.
isa, kaya lang kulang. Dapat yun, Paris
Okay.
Climate Accord. Paris Climate Accord. Paris Agreement,
hindi.
tama yun. COP 21.
So, ang tama si Sir Ronel.
Yeah. And
Oh.
then, last word.
Last word.
Binigay na yung
Eto,
clue, pinaka-controversial daw.
Pinaka-controversial na sabi nila malinis, walang carbon dioxide emission na source of energy na power plant. O, ano yun? Ayos ba, Doc Rhea?
Is okay, correct?
Oh, yan. Tama na rin. Tama yan.
Nuclear.
Pero,
Alright.
tama yan.
Sige. Actually, madaming tumama. Kaya lang, pabilisan tayo. So, ayan na.
Si Ronnie ang nanalo.
Ang sarap pag-usapan. Marami ang sarap pag-usapan. But the time is really not enough for us to discuss everything. Nagsasabi si Happy, magpapakapi daw si Sir. Magpapakapi ka ba daw ba, Sir?
Sino ba? Ako? Ako, sir?
Oo, tinatanong ko
paano tayo magkakape? Dito ako sa ano.
Alright.
Hindi,
So, we are
kahit
so...
doctor kayo, ilang advice ko kahit na doctor kayo, lalo na pagka-doctor or MSc, tapos ang laki ng baggage mo ang malaking baggage. Kailangan malaman mo to. And I'm telling you, kahit magtanong ka ng kapwa mo PhD, kung alam nila yung deuterium reserves. Hindi ka ba na noon? Hindi ka ba na... Ako, nung 1977, nung narinig ko yan, pinag-aralan ko ilang taon na ako ngayon? 77, I was 18 years old. Hindi ko pa nga alam, matatapos ako ng engineering Hindi ko narinig yan. Hanggang ngayon, hindi mo pa rin alam? That's too much. Alamin mo.
I can't
Subukan
accept
mo.
Grab daw.
Ano yung Grab?
And then,
Taxi?
coffee again. Oh, kape. Ang dami nang hihingi ng kape.
Sir,
Ano yan? Grab, kape.
Yes,
Yeah.
lang, sir. Kami na yung bibili ng coffee.
Alamin niyo yun, alamin niyo. Tapos yung mga, bakit didebunk mo yung mga ibang mga energy at saka yung sinasabi sa'yo. Dali Ang sarap ng engineering, alam mo ba? Ang sarap ng engineering. At pag hindi mo alam to, sabi ko nga sa'yo, basitor ka.
Yes. So,
Enroll na
it has
kayo
been
kay
a very
Sir.
good discussion,
Center.
sir.
Oh yes, always.
Magkiki-take away lang kami bago tayo magpaalam. Sayang, our time, muntik na tayo umabot ng 12 o'clock, no? Talagang very exciting yung ating topic. Ang dami pa nating hindi na-discuss. Dati ko pa nga hindi natanong But our time is up na. Bale, we will be having, pipilitin natin magkaroon tayo ng part 2 ng ating discussion. Alright?
At saka ready kayo sa question.
Magkiki-take away lang po kami ni Ella. Ella, any key take away?
Yun, parang medyo nahirapan ako sa mga terms lang, pero base sa mga recommendation ni Sir for the Philippines, yun, pakinggan lang natin yun, yung LNG, sabi niya, ma'am. Kasi nga, ang dami niyang binanggit kanina ng mga yung hazardous po kapag nag-nuclear, pag pro-nuclear, tayo. So, yun lang yung take away ko, ma'am. Makinig tayo sa alam.
Yes, madami pa nagpapahabol na ask the professors of NU and Mapua deuterium. Yes, we'll do that. Siguro magandang. Ang daming nabitin sa ating discussion, but no worries. We'll have take part 2 of this. It's so amazing to know what are the best energy source for the Philippines, no? Kasi ako I am a nuclear pro. I'll put the nuclear thingy as part of, well, not in the nuclear energy but in nuclear related researches, no, gaya ng mga irradiated things, no, converted into different product forms. We're already doing that with PNRI. Sabi ni Engineer Friday, thank you, Doc Ria. I remember take 2 ako sa'yo sa engineering mechanics. Naku, Freddy, sorry Yung mga take 2 naman na yan, may mga dahilan, di ba? Basta natutunan ko engineering mechanics. And then we have, ang dami pa, ayan sabi, Happy DTV, sabi ni Fermina, hello to all the people from Kalumpit. Sarap po sigurong trainer ni Engineer Ronnie. Parang hindi ka po tatamarin sa training. I think so. Baka lahat tayo mag-enroll na sa training niya. Okay. So, hello sa lahat ng taga-Kalumpit, Fermina. pagkalat mo sa kalumpit yung training na yan, alright? So, Starbucks na daw, sabi ni Mia, nabitin si Mia sa mga discussion. Don't worry. Very opportune time talaga tong energy na to, no? So, ang dami ko rin natutunan and enroll tayo sa course ni Sir. Very affordable naman ang kanyang training program. So, with that, Sir, thank you so much for, natutuwa ako na sinali ako ni Sir Kat sa ating nuclear GC, no? I come to know you and I'm now becoming more aware of this very important issue about energy. All right, but of course, this is a very lucrative industry. Tama si Sir Don, yung mga 500,000 na yan, mababa pa yan. I know it. Kaya kung gusto nyo na mataas na sweldo at magkaroon maraming investment katulad ni Sir, punta tayo sa oil and gas. Energy is the thing. Yeah. So with that, Sir, any last words, any shout out, Sir?
Yes, ito lang masasabi ko sa inyo. Sa mga bata at saka kahit yung mga doktor at saka mga MSc. Alamin nyo na to. Ako lang tuturo nito eh. I-challenge nyo yung mga faculty nyo. Alam niyo yung deuterium, alam niyo yung process. Pati computation sa engineering, LNG for engineers. Kita mo, gagaling ng mga estudyante ko. Sandali lang eh. Pagka kasi hindi mo alam, hindi mo kaya ituro ng madali. Di ba sinabi ni Einstein yun? If you do not know well, you cannot teach it very, very well. Dapat alam na alam mo yan. At ito, yung deuterium lang, ano yan eh. Test lang sa Filipino yan eh. Kung talagang engineer ka, dapat alam mo yan eh. Matutulungan mo yung mga tao. Eh, yan lang hindi mo alam. Eh, subukan mo. Tanungin nyo rin yung mga faculties nyo. Challenge yan. Pag hindi, umatinda kayo. Umatinda kayo. And then the oil and gas process. Kasi, baka sinasabi nyo lulubog ang oil and gas. Iyan naman, sinasabi nyo lang. At ang sabi ko nga sa inyo, ang Russia nga ayaw na magbigay pero hinahabol mo pa rin eh. Bakit? Kasi yan lang ang fuel. At the present, hindi natin alam kung ano pang madidiscover. Because since the discovery of oil in Saudi Arabia in 1938 by Max Stinek and in the whole of that is in Saudi Arabia. In the Middle East, it was discovered by DRC, Edwin DRC. It never stopped. This is the fuel. Since the first industrial revolution, the second industrial revolution, and up to now, the fourth industrial revolution. The AI. Pag hindi mo inalam to, ano pang aalamin mo? Sarap-sarap pag-aralan nito eh. At saka sabi mo nga, foundation, andito, malalaman mo, ang dami mong malalaman. Yung mga hoax, sandali mo lang, katulad nun, di ba, may lumalabas yun, nakita mo yung yung electroplasma? Yung mga engineers, yung mga doktor na kinakausap ko, walang alam. Titingnan pa daw nila, siyang tinginan ko lang yan, hindi totoo yan eh. Oh, kung sabihin henyo ako, I do not accept that. Hindi ako henyo. Hindi rin ako matalino. Magiging inspirasyon mo pa ako. Dahil ayoko na sa Mapua eh. Kick out na ako eh. Pinagpilitan ko na rin lang ang sarili ko eh. Ito, tinan mo yung mga gold medalist namin. Sorry ha. At saka mga silver medalist namin. Hindi alam itong mga sinasabi ko eh. Yung mga doktor, hindi rin nga alam eh. Bibigay ko nga sa iyo. Ayaw mo pa? Gusto mo bang all your life, hindi mo alam ang deuterium? Na ang water, fuel? Ha? Ano pa? Ang dami mong hindi alam eh, sa totoo lang. Alamin mo na. Para, pag alam mo to, lahat na dami mong matututunan. The best and the most hottest topic is energy. Oil and gas, nuclear, and the process in the oil and gas is, sabi ko nga sa iyo ito, petroleum engineering graduate, tanungin mo anong process sa Malampaya. Hinahamon kita. Kahit sino, katabi mo, nasa oil and gas, tiyo mo, kapatid mo, pinsan mo, tanong mo anong process doon, hindi alam. O, kita mo? Pag umattend ka sa akin, alam mo. O, di ba pagka in-interview ka, tapos ba't ang galing mo? Di ba yun ang gusto mo? Hindi, ano yun. It's not a joke to know them. And it is a big joke if you do not know them. For 30 years, naandun ka, hindi mo alam. Subukan mo. Maghanap ka ng mga nagtatrabaho sa oil and gas, 30 years. Subukan mo. O, yung mga doktor, kausapin mo about deuterium. Sabihin mo na, ayoko magsasabi ng mga university, pero sabihin mo na yung pinakamagaling na university. Nag-graduate doon. Kausapin mo ngayon. Prove it. Prove it. Dapat ba't nangyari, hindi mo alam? Ay, 4 na oras, tuturo ko sa'yo. Oh. Baka magtawa ka. Oh, yes! Oh, ayaw mo nun? Biro mo, di ba masasabi mo, ito, sabi mo, di mo, ang haba na pinag-aralan mo, hindi mo alam, di ba? Ako ganyan din eh. Oh. Eh, nung inalam ko, tinuturo ko. That's all. Marami pa. At,
So,
I
we're
wish
so happy, of course, that
yes, go ahead.
lahat ng nalaman mo, lahat ng iyong knowledge that you have gained in your 30 solid experience in the oil and gas is now you are sharing it to the younger generation. No? That's a legacy that I think you wanted to live in this world, di ba? Bago tayo mag-fully 100% retired. Ngayon, semi-retired ka pa lang. Alright, so Sir Ronnie, Engineer Ronnie, thank you so much. Thank you, Ella. Ano sabi, water is a fuel, what's that? It's the fuel process of electrolyzer, removing hydrogen from water and byproduct, non-hypochlorite, then pwede i-harness ang hydrogen, either fuel or coolant, so high-capacity turbines. Ayan. Okay, thank you, Freddy,
luma
for
na yan.
your
Yan,
information.
gusto ko lang sabihin doon sa nagsabi niyan, luma na yung process na yan. Luma na yung process na yan, yung hypochlorite, that is electrochlorinator. Seawater yon. Hypochlorite is a type of chlorine. And that is covered by the Montreal Protocol, which is replaced by the Kigali Accord. O, yan, kita mo na.
Ayan. So, marami na tayo matututunan. Mag-enroll na tayo kay Sir nito. Thank you, Sir Ronnie. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. It's a very wonderful discussion. So, thank you so much, Sir. Maglalagay tayo ng part 2. Don't worry. Ella once, thank you so much, Engineer. Thank you so much. So, ayan na, we lack the time. Okay, so see you around, guys. See you again next week. Same time, same day. Saturday, 9 p.m. Okay, Ella, in a count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you, sir.